They said humans couldn't rule. The princess disagreed. The Solara council chamber below buzzed with arguments and whispers, voices clashing over issues that had long ago lost their importance. Humans were considered weak, emotional, and incapable of ruling in a galaxy dominated by powerful alien civilizations. Even here, in her own colony, her people's worth was questioned. But Alara refused to let that define her. The galaxy had decided humans could not lead, not because humans lacked intelligence or courage, but because they were unpredictable. Aliens thought unpredictability was weakness. Alara had always thought it was their greatest strength. She turned her gaze to the Solara flag fluttering in the artificial wind of the observation dome. The blue and silver colors reflected the light of the distant suns, a reminder that her people had endured despite constant doubt. Her mother, Queen Maris, had ruled wisely, but she had always known her daughter's fire could challenge the galaxy in ways even the Queen could not. Alara's mind raced as she considered the upcoming challenge, a test organized by the ruling alien council that no human had ever passed. The announcement had come weeks ago. The council, representing dozens of alien species, had devised a series of trials. They called it a test of leadership, strategy, diplomacy, and courage. The prize was more than honor, it was recognition, something humans had been denied for centuries. Many humans had turned down the opportunity, afraid of humiliation. Alara did not hesitate. She had been preparing for this moment her entire life, even if she had not known it. Her small team gathered in the briefing room, each member carefully selected for their skills. Commander Rin, her loyal second-in-command, had a reputation for tactical genius. Scientist Leora could understand alien technologies in ways few humans could. Diplomat Kale had a calm, steady presence, able to navigate conversations that could erupt into conflicts. Together, they represented what humanity could do when it worked as one. "Alara, are you sure about this?" Kale asked, his voice low. "This council is not kind to humans. If we fail—" "We won't fail," Alara interrupted. Her eyes shone with determination. "They've underestimated us for too long. This is our chance to show them that humans can lead, that we can think beyond their rigid ideas. We'll not just survive this challenge, we'll excel." The team nodded. Their confidence in her was strong, but even Alara knew the trials would be difficult. The first trial would be on Zyphera, a planet known for its unforgiving terrain, unpredictable weather, and complex political dynamics. It was neutral territory, chosen by the Council precisely because no species could claim familiarity. It was a place designed to test every skill a ruler could need. As their transport vessel left Solara's orbit, the stars stretched into long streaks of light, and the weight of the challenge settled on Alara's shoulders. She closed her eyes for a moment and imagined the possibilities. She saw herself navigating delicate negotiations between warring factions, organizing defenses against unforeseen threats, and earning respect not through fear or force, but through intelligence, creativity, and compassion. The journey to Zyphera was long, giving her team time to prepare. Alara used every moment to study the history of the planet, the alien species they would encounter, and the potential traps set by rivals. She knew the Council would expect the humans to fail. Perhaps some factions even hoped for sabotage. If they did not anticipate human intuition, adaptability, and persistence, they were about to be proven wrong. Upon arrival, Zyphera's harsh landscape greeted them. Towering mountains pierced low-hanging clouds, rivers glimmered with colors that shifted in the strange light, and winds swept across the barren plains with a force that tested even the strongest machinery. Alien observers watched silently, their expressions unreadable, as Alara and her team stepped onto the surface. The first challenge was announced: diplomacy. Two alien factions had been in conflict for decades over a resource-rich territory. Previous attempts at peace had failed, often violently. Many in the council expected Alara to fail where experienced alien diplomats had not. The first meeting was tense. Alien delegates eyed the humans with thinly veiled contempt. Their bodies were imposing, their voices deep and authoritative. Alara stood firm, maintaining eye contact, speaking calmly but confidently. She listened more than she spoke at first, observing every gesture, tone, and subtle sign of tension. "I understand that both sides value the territory," she began, "but conflict has brought loss to all. Perhaps there is a way to share resources while respecting each side's traditions." Her voice was measured, her words simple, yet every delegate felt the weight of her sincerity. At first, the aliens dismissed her ideas. They were too simple, too human. But as the hours passed, Alara asked questions that revealed hidden motivations. She noticed that one faction feared losing honor, while the other feared economic instability. She proposed a solution that addressed both fears: a rotating stewardship of the land, shared governance councils, and mutually beneficial trade agreements. It was not easy. Heated arguments flared. Some alien delegates tried to outmaneuver her with threats or manipulation. Yet Alara remained composed, turning each challenge into an opportunity to demonstrate human creativity and empathy. By the end of the day, the factions reached a tentative agreement, something no previous diplomat had managed. Even the council observers could not hide their surprise. That night, as the humans rested, the aliens whispered among themselves. "Unpredictable," one muttered. "Resilient," said another. Alara in her quarters did not hear these whispers, but she felt their significance. She had made the first impression, and it was one of strength and intelligence. The next day brought the strategic trial. Zyphera's council had created a simulation of a planetary defense scenario. Alien leaders assumed that humans would be predictable, using linear strategies based on the known patterns of past conflicts. They underestimated human flexibility. Alara analyzed the simulation carefully. While the aliens focused on conventional methods, deploying fleets, fortifying borders, she noticed subtle variables: weather shifts, resource limitations, morale factors, and unexpected alliances among minor factions. She adapted her strategy continuously, often taking bold, unconventional steps that the aliens had not predicted. During the simulation, her team faced moments of near defeat. An unexpected energy surge disabled part of their fleet. Alien advisors smirked, expecting failure. But Alara encouraged her team, reassigning resources, improvising defenses, and making decisions that leveraged human intuition over rigid logic. Slowly, the tide turned. The simulation ended with a clear human victory, not by force alone, but through insight, adaptability, and collaboration. By the time the humans concluded their first two trials, the Alien Council could no longer ignore them. Whispers of doubt turned into murmurs of curiosity. Some younger delegates even nodded in silent admiration. The idea that humans could never rule was being challenged, quietly but unmistakably. Alara felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. She knew the trials would only become harder. Shadows of sabotage, political maneuvering, and tests of courage awaited. But she also knew that humans had an edge the aliens could never fully understand: the combination of creativity, resilience, and unyielding determination. As she looked at her team that evening, she saw not just allies but a reflection of humanity itself. They were diverse, adaptable, and unafraid to face impossible odds. Alara allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy had doubted them, yes, but doubts could be overcome. They could be shattered entirely, and Princess Alara was determined to be the one to do it. The morning sun rose over Zyphera, painting the jagged mountains in shades of gold and crimson. Princess Alara stood at the edge of the camp, her eyes tracing the mist that curled over the plains below. The first trials had tested diplomacy and strategy, but she knew the most difficult challenges were yet to come. The Alien Council had designed Zyphera not just to test intelligence, but to push leaders to their limits, to see who could remain calm when everything was uncertain. Her team gathered around the communication table, reviewing the schedule for the next trial. This one was different. It combined elements of strategy, negotiation, and leadership under pressure. The Alien Council had set up a scenario that mirrored a real interstellar conflict. While simulations could be studied and predicted, this challenge would have moving variables, hidden dangers, and unexpected crises. "Remember," Alara said, looking at each member of her team, "we are not here to play by their rules. We are here to show them what humans can do. We adapt, we think differently, and we never give up." Commander Rin nodded, checking his tactical readouts. "Understood, Princess. The others may underestimate us, but they won't expect how flexible humans can be." They moved out across the plains, reaching a high vantage point where holographic displays projected the conflict scenario. The aliens had divided themselves into factions, assigning different priorities and resources. Their initial goal was simple on paper: secure control of strategic territories while maintaining alliances with local populations. From the start, it was clear that the aliens relied heavily on standard procedures. Their fleets moved in predictable patterns. Their leaders made decisions based on calculations and precedent, rather than intuition. Alara observed quietly, noting subtle weaknesses: overconfidence, rigid planning, and the assumption that humans would react predictably. When her turn came, she approached the table with calm confidence. "We will not follow their patterns," she said. "We will study them, understand their behavior, and use it to our advantage." The first obstacle came within hours. One faction of aliens broke the agreed-upon ceasefire, sending a surprise strike against a resource hub. Human intuition suggested that the attackers were testing reactions. While alien commanders panicked and began plotting counterattacks, Alara remained focused. She instructed her team to anticipate the attackers' movements rather than respond blindly. Using a combination of diversion tactics and targeted deployment, her team secured the hub without unnecessary losses. The aliens watched, surprised by the humans' rapid adaptation. Where the aliens relied on brute force or rigid commands, humans used creativity, observation, and a willingness to adjust instantly. The next challenge involved negotiation with neutral factions on Zyphera, communities that controlled vital supply lines. Alara approached the task as she had in the first trial, but this time the stakes were higher. These factions were wary, distrustful of all outsiders, and had never seen humans in positions of influence. She did not rely on authority or intimidation. Instead, she listened. She asked questions. She discovered hidden concerns, fears of exploitation, memories of past betrayals, and a desire for stability. With patience, she proposed solutions that honored each faction's needs while aligning them with her team's objectives. Slowly, trust began to form. Leaders of the neutral groups nodded, signaling agreement in ways small but meaningful. Meanwhile, her opponents attempted sabotage. Messages were intercepted, supplies were delayed, and false intelligence was circulated to mislead her team. Many human commanders might have been overwhelmed, but Alara's focus never wavered. She noticed inconsistencies in the reports and realized that someone was manipulating information. Instead of reacting impulsively, she devised a counter-strategy. She used the false intelligence to her advantage, turning what was meant to confuse her team into an opportunity to surprise the alien factions. By the end of the day, her team had secured key territories and gained the loyalty of previously hostile groups. The Alien Council observed in silence, unable to hide their astonishment. Some of the more conservative leaders scowled, unwilling to admit that humans could act with such precision and foresight. Others whispered in admiration, recognizing that the unpredictability of humans was a strength, not a weakness. That night, around the campfire, Alara allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. The terrain was harsh, the trials exhausting, and the alien scrutiny relentless, yet she felt exhilarated. This was exactly what she had hoped for, not easy victories, but opportunities to prove that humanity could rise above expectation. "Princess," Leora said quietly, joining her by the fire, "they're watching us more closely now. The way you handled today, it's unprecedented. Even the council members who doubted humans are reconsidering their assumptions." Alara smiled faintly. "We've only just begun. If they think this is our best, they haven't seen what humans are capable of." The following day brought a test that was both physical and psychological. Zyphera's weather systems were volatile, shifting rapidly from scorching heat to freezing winds. Alien teams struggled to adapt to the unpredictable conditions. Human resilience was put to the test, yet Alara led her team with calm determination. They moved efficiently across the terrain, improvising solutions for equipment failures, finding shelter in unexpected locations, and coordinating actions with precision despite the chaos. During the midday phase of the trial, a sudden landslide threatened to cut off one of the supply routes. Many alien teams hesitated, unsure how to respond. Alara acted immediately. She directed her team to create makeshift barriers and reroute paths using local materials. Her quick thinking saved critical supplies and prevented a potential crisis. Again, the aliens watched with growing respect, some openly noting that the humans' adaptability was unmatched. As the trial progressed, rival alien factions tried more aggressive tactics, attempting to undermine human progress. False reports were planted, and surprise attacks simulated in the exercise tested her team's coordination. But Alara's leadership turned every challenge into an opportunity. She encouraged her team to trust their instincts and each other. In moments when the aliens expected hesitation, the humans acted decisively, turning apparent disadvantages into victories. By late evening, the trial concluded with humans achieving objectives that many aliens thought impossible. The council convened in private, analyzing the results. For the first time, there was genuine discussion about humanity's potential. Some debated whether Alara's success was fluke or strategy. Others quietly acknowledged that humans possessed qualities the galaxy had underestimated: intuition, creativity, adaptability, and unwavering determination. Alara herself did not dwell on praise. She knew the trials were far from over. The most critical test, the one that could define the future of human leadership, was still ahead. Yet she felt a surge of pride in her team and in humanity itself. The successes of the past days were proof that humans were not just survivors, but innovators, capable of surpassing expectation. That night, as she reviewed her strategy for the next challenge, Alara thought about the history of her people. Humans had endured centuries of doubt, of marginalization, and of exclusion. Now, for the first time, someone was watching closely and realizing that human resilience was more than mere luck. It was a strength forged by generations of adaptation, courage, and determination. Her thoughts were interrupted by Commander Rin. "Princess, I've reviewed the upcoming scenarios. They are complex but predictable in a way. The Council is testing more than our skill. They want to see our reaction to crisis under stress. They will escalate challenges, perhaps try deception, perhaps even outright sabotage. We must be ready," Alara nodded. "We will be. Remember, every trial they throw at us is designed for alien logic. Humans think differently. We see patterns they miss. We act where they hesitate. That is our advantage." Over the next few days, Alara and her team continued to navigate the trials. They faced deception, unexpected setbacks, and increasingly difficult scenarios. Each time, human creativity and teamwork overcame obstacles that would have defeated even the most skilled alien commanders. Zyphera itself became a testing ground not just for skill, but for human ingenuity. With each success, the alien council's whispers grew louder. Delegates who had once scoffed began to question their own assumptions. How could humans, young, unproven, and considered fragile, demonstrate such brilliance under pressure? Some began to fear that the humans might surpass expectations entirely. Others felt admiration, albeit grudgingly. By the time the team rested on the final evening of the second trial, Alara looked at the stars above Zyphera and felt a quiet determination. These successes were only the beginning. The Council's final tests would be the most difficult, true tests of courage, leadership, and moral judgment. Yet she knew that whatever came next, humanity had already proven something invaluable. They could lead, not with sheer power, but with insight, creativity, and an unbreakable spirit. As her team gathered around her, Alara addressed them with calm authority. The galaxy has underestimated us yet again. They think humans are weak, but we are not. We are adaptable, brave, and relentless. The next trials will be harder, yes, but we will rise to meet them as we have always done. The galaxy will remember not just me, but all of us, and humanity itself, for what we are capable of achieving. Her words were met with nods and murmurs of agreement. Even in the harsh winds of Zyphera, the humans' resolve was unshakable. The trials were far from over, yet hope and determination burned brightly in their hearts. They would continue, not just to prove themselves, but to redefine the future of humanity in the galaxy. Alara, staring into the horizon, allowed herself a small smile. The council might have thought humans could not rule. They had no idea how wrong they were. The next morning, Zyphera's landscape seemed almost alive with tension. The air was thick with mist, and the distant mountains loomed like silent sentinels, watching the unfolding trials. Princess Alara knew that the council would soon introduce the third phase of their challenge, the one designed to test not just skill, but resilience in the face of deception and betrayal. She had already proven that humans could adapt, negotiate, and strategize, but now she would be tested in ways that could break even the strongest leader. As she walked through the camp, her team preparing equipment and reviewing tactical data, she sensed a shift in the atmosphere. Alien observers whispered among themselves, some with admiration, others with barely concealed irritation. Alara had gained attention, but not everyone welcomed it. There were those who did not want humans to succeed, who would stop at nothing to ensure their failure. Commander Rin approached her quietly. Princess, intelligence reports suggest that some factions may attempt direct sabotage. They're worried about our progress and the Council's growing respect for us. Expect traps, misinformation, and possibly staged crises. We must be ready for anything. Alara nodded. We will handle it as we always have. Remember, humans think differently. Where they try to mislead us, we see opportunities. Where they aim to trap us, we adapt and overcome. The first obstacle came sooner than expected. During a reconnaissance mission, one of their supply convoys was reported missing. The Council announced that a neutral faction had attacked it, and many alien commanders immediately assumed human incompetence. Some even smirked, as if confirming their belief that humans could not handle leadership. Alara did not panic. She analyzed the situation carefully. Reports were inconsistent, and the timeline of the attack seemed artificially compressed. She realized that this was not a simple test of strategy. It was sabotage, orchestrated to make humans appear weak. Using her team's insight and intuition, she retraced the convoy's last movements, discovered hidden markers, and located the missing supplies intact. When she presented the evidence to the Council, her explanation was clear and precise. She showed that the convoy had been deliberately misdirected by rivals within the Council itself, attempting to manipulate outcomes. The alien delegates who had assumed human failure were silent, their expressions unreadable. Some whispered among themselves, astonished that humans could detect deception so quickly. The next phase of the trial was even more challenging. The Council designed a multi-layered simulation, where humans had to defend a sector of space while managing diplomatic relations with neighboring systems. Alien factions were aggressive, not just in tactics, but in attempts to confuse and provoke errors. Messages were falsified, supply lines were disrupted, and some allies were secretly working against the humans. Alara approached the task with calm determination. She instructed her team to verify every report, cross-check every piece of information, and maintain constant communication. Her approach was methodical but flexible. Where aliens relied on authority and hierarchy, humans relied on collaboration, observation, and creativity. As the simulated attacks escalated, one of the alien factions attempted a surprise strike that should have overwhelmed any conventional defense. While many alien commanders panicked or responded predictably, Alara remained calm. She used a combination of diversion tactics, rapid redeployment of fleets, and clever manipulation of environmental factors to turn the attack into a trap. The simulated enemy suffered losses, while the human strategic position strengthened. Meanwhile, her team encountered psychological pressure. Rival alien leaders tried to undermine morale, spreading rumors and insinuations meant to sow doubt. Some minor factions even attempted to defect, believing that humans would fail under stress. Alara did not let frustration or fear guide her decisions. She addressed each concern directly, reinforcing the team's confidence and turning doubt into determination. One evening, a critical moment arrived. A false report suggested that a neutral colony had been attacked and required immediate assistance. The aliens assumed humans would rush to respond and make mistakes. Instead, Alara analyzed the data, noticed inconsistencies, and discovered that no attack had occurred. She realized the Council's intent: to force humans into a reactive position, to punish mistakes that did not exist. Alara's decision was precise. She dispatched a small team to assess the situation physically, while maintaining defensive readiness elsewhere. The deception was revealed before any harm could occur, and her careful handling earned respect even from skeptical delegates. The humans had turned the Council's trap into a demonstration of foresight and discipline. As the days passed, the sabotage and psychological tests continued. Messages were intercepted, supply chains were disrupted, and the Council introduced unexpected variables: storms that altered travel routes, sudden equipment malfunctions, and complex negotiations designed to provoke errors. Each time, Alara's team adapted. They communicated constantly, shared insights openly, and relied on both intelligence and instinct. During one particularly tense moment, an alien fleet attempted to blockade a critical supply route. Many species would have engaged immediately in combat, risking resources and morale. Alara paused, assessing the situation carefully. She noticed that the blockading fleet had overextended itself and left a vulnerable position near a nearby asteroid field. Using this insight, she coordinated a strategic maneuver that bypassed the blockade, secured the supply line, and avoided unnecessary conflict. The Council observed quietly, some with disbelief. Alien delegates began to murmur among themselves, acknowledging that humans were not only capable of leadership, but often saw solutions that others could not. The unpredictability and flexibility of humanity, once considered weaknesses, were proving to be formidable strengths. However, not all opposition was subtle. One faction launched a direct challenge during a negotiation exercise, attempting to force humans into a corner with aggressive ultimatums. Many alien teams would have reacted defensively, risking both strategy and diplomacy. Alara, however, remained calm. She listened carefully, acknowledged their demands, and proposed a compromise that addressed their immediate concerns while maintaining human objectives. The aliens, expecting confrontation, were caught off guard by the human approach of calm reasoning and adaptability. This combination of strategy, diplomacy, and resilience became the hallmark of Ilara's leadership during the third phase. She showed the Council that humans could not be easily manipulated, that they could anticipate and adapt to unexpected threats, and that their leadership was grounded in intelligence, creativity, and courage. Late one night, after a particularly grueling day of trials, Ilara stood alone on a cliff overlooking Zyphera's plains. The stars reflected on her thoughtful expression as she considered the journey so far. The Council had tried to humiliate and confuse them, yet the humans had succeeded at every turn. They had faced deception, sabotage, and psychological pressure, and had emerged not just unbroken but stronger. Leora joined her quietly. "Princess, they are beginning to talk differently about humans. Even the oldest and most stubborn delegates are wondering if we are capable of more than they expected." Ilara nodded. "It doesn't matter if they believe it yet. What matters is that we keep showing them what humans can do. They will see our strength not through words, but through actions." The final exercise of this phase would test human courage and moral judgment in the most extreme conditions yet. Zyphera's harsh climate was about to become more volatile, and the Council would introduce a crisis designed to provoke instinctual decisions. Ilara's team would need to act decisively, balancing the needs of civilians, allies, and strategic objectives under pressure. Mistakes could be costly. Ilara spent the night reviewing plans and contingencies. She knew that human adaptability was their greatest weapon. Where alien leaders relied on predictability, humans could turn unexpected challenges into opportunities. Where others saw chaos, humans saw patterns, possibilities, and solutions. The following morning, the Council activated the final trial for this phase. A simulated asteroid storm threatened key colonies, and a neutral faction's communications had been compromised. Panic was expected. Many alien teams faltered, reacting too slowly or making errors in judgment. Humans, however, remained focused. Ilara quickly assessed the storm's trajectory, coordinated emergency protocols, and communicated with the affected colonies to prioritize actions. Her team deployed rescue and defense units strategically, rerouted supply convoys, and maintained open lines of communication with all stakeholders. The asteroid storm shifted unpredictably, yet the humans adapted in real time, minimizing damage and protecting critical assets. When the exercise concluded, the Council reviewed results in stunned silence. The humans had succeeded where others had struggled, demonstrating intelligence, courage, and foresight. They had turned challenges designed to humiliate into opportunities to prove humanity's strength. As Ilara gathered her team later that evening, she felt a sense of quiet triumph. They had faced sabotage, deceit, and extreme adversity, yet remained unbroken. The Council could no longer dismiss humans as weak or incapable. They had seen that human leaders could think, adapt, and act with intelligence, creativity, and moral clarity. Ilara addressed her team with calm pride. "The Council has tried to test every aspect of our leadership. They have tried to deceive us, confuse us, and break our morale. Yet we have succeeded, not because we followed rules or predicted outcomes, but because we adapted, we thought creatively, and we trusted each other. This is what it means to be human." Her team responded with quiet nods, a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction visible on their faces. They had endured trials that would have defeated many leaders, yet their success was undeniable. Ilara gazed at the horizon, her mind already on the final phase. The trials had proven humans were capable of more than the galaxy believed, but the ultimate test remained. The Council's last challenge would be the one that determined not just skill, but the right to lead. Yet she felt confident. Humans had already shown courage, resilience, and ingenuity. They were ready. As Zyphera's twin moons rose in the sky, casting a silver glow over the plains, Alara allowed herself a rare smile. The galaxy had doubted humanity, yet here she stood, leading her people through impossible challenges. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humans would not be underestimated again. The dawn over Zyphera brought a quiet stillness that belied the storm of challenges yet to come. Princess Alara stood on a ridge, watching the clouds shift in unpredictable patterns, reflecting the trials ahead. The Council had designed this final phase to test not just intellect or strategy, but the very essence of leadership. Every decision would be scrutinized, every mistake magnified, and every success compared to centuries of doubt about humanity's ability to lead. Alara felt the weight of expectation on her shoulders, not just her own, but that of her people. Humans had endured prejudice and dismissal across generations. Now she carried their hopes in her hands, yet she did not falter. Her gaze swept across her team, each member quietly preparing for the challenge, their determination as steadfast as her own. The Council's final trial was revealed: a real-time interstellar crisis. An asteroid storm threatened multiple colonies across human and allied territories. Communications had been disrupted, supply lines compromised, and some factions were on the brink of panic. The Council expected hesitation, mistakes, and failure. It was a test of leadership under the most extreme conditions, an environment designed to break even the most skilled commanders. Alara did not hesitate. She immediately convened her team, laying out a plan that combined rapid response, resource management, and diplomacy. She divided responsibilities according to expertise. Liara would handle technological coordination, ensuring communications were restored and defenses reinforced. Kale would liaise with the affected colonies, calming fears and establishing order. Commander Rin would oversee fleet movements, anticipating asteroid trajectories and enemy maneuvers. Alara herself focused on the overarching strategy. She needed to keep the humans and allies unified, coordinate responses across multiple crises, and anticipate variables the Council could not predict. Her mind raced, but she moved with calm authority, issuing orders and adjusting strategies in real time. The first crisis arose within hours. A supply convoy carrying critical resources was trapped in an asteroid belt, the path blocked by shifting debris and violent gravitational currents. Many alien leaders panicked, assuming that humans would fail to navigate such hazards. Alara, however, remained composed. She studied the patterns of the asteroids, noting subtle shifts and gaps invisible to others. She directed her fleet through a path that minimized risk, protected the convoy, and ensured the safe delivery of supplies. Meanwhile, communications revealed tensions among neutral colonies. Panic and fear had begun to spread, threatening to destabilize the region. Alien leaders hesitated, unsure how to respond without escalating conflict. Alara acted decisively. She sent Kale to negotiate with colony leaders, using empathy, logic, and human intuition to calm fears and establish coordinated defense measures. By the time most alien delegates had made up their minds, the colonies were stabilized, their loyalty to the human-led coalition secure. The Council watched silently, their expressions ranging from shock to grudging respect. Humans were not simply reacting to the crisis. They were anticipating, adapting, and shaping outcomes in ways that no alien species had ever demonstrated. Alara's decisions were bold, creative, and precise, reflecting not just intellect but moral clarity and courage under pressure. As the asteroid storm intensified, the Council introduced another complication. An enemy faction attempted to exploit the chaos, launching an offensive against a strategic colony. The alien leaders assumed humans would respond predictably, engaging in defensive maneuvers that could lead to loss. Alara, however, saw an opportunity. She coordinated a multi-pronged strategy that combined defense and offense, using the asteroid storm itself as a shield. The enemy fleet was forced to retreat, suffering losses, while the colony remained safe. Throughout the crisis, Ilara's leadership was a masterclass in balance. She demonstrated that humans could act decisively without being reckless, show empathy without sacrificing strategy, and maintain composure under pressure that would have broken many leaders. Her team mirrored her example, executing orders flawlessly while offering insights that further enhanced the human-led response. As the crisis reached its peak, a new threat emerged. The storm's trajectory shifted unexpectedly, endangering colonies previously considered safe. The Council expected confusion, hesitation, and mistakes. Ilara, however, had already anticipated this possibility. She had contingency plans, alternative routes, and backup communication channels. She quickly reassigned resources, redirected fleets, and coordinated evacuation and defense operations simultaneously. The colonies were protected, casualties minimized, and the human-led coalition held strong despite the chaos. For hours, the team worked tirelessly, responding to shifting threats and unexpected developments. The Council observed in stunned silence. They had assumed humans would falter under the pressure of simultaneous crises, but Ilara had proven otherwise. The combination of adaptability, intelligence, empathy, and courage displayed by her team was unparalleled. When the final phase concluded, the asteroid storm dissipated, leaving Zyphra's plains quiet once more. The human-led coalition had successfully navigated every challenge, preserved the lives of countless civilians, and secured strategic victories across multiple systems. The Council convened immediately, their discussions marked by astonishment, disbelief, and reluctant admiration. Some delegates spoke in hushed tones about the unpredictability of humans. Others admitted openly that their assumptions had been wrong. No one could deny it. Humans, under Princess Ilara's leadership, had succeeded where others believed they would fail. Ilara addressed her team after the council meeting, her voice calm but filled with pride. The council may have tried to test us in every way imaginable. They tried deception, sabotage, and chaos. Yet we have proven that humans are not weak, unpredictable, or incapable. We are resilient, creative, and courageous. We have acted with intelligence, with empathy, and with moral clarity. The galaxy has seen what we are capable of. Her team nodded, exhausted but proud. They had faced extreme danger, manipulation, and moral dilemmas, yet emerged victorious. Each member reflected on the journey, realizing that human strength was not just physical or technological, but also intellectual and emotional. The council reconvened to announce their final verdict. Delegates who had once scorned humanity now spoke with respect. They acknowledged that humans were capable of leadership, capable of strategic thinking, and capable of guiding civilizations through crises that had humbled more experienced species. The message was clear. The age of dismissing humans was over. Princess Ilara stepped forward to accept the formal recognition. Her voice was steady, commanding attention. Humans have long been underestimated. We have been told we could not lead, that we could not endure, that we could not succeed. Today, we have proven otherwise. We have shown that humans can lead with courage, intelligence, and compassion. This is not the victory of one person. It is the victory of a species that refuses to be underestimated. Applause echoed throughout the chamber, some hesitant at first, then growing into genuine admiration. Delegates who had doubted her bowed in acknowledgement. The council's recognition was not just symbolic, it was a statement to the galaxy. Humans had arrived as capable, resilient, and respected leaders. That evening, as Ilara returned to her quarters, she reflected on the journey. The trials had tested every aspect of her leadership: diplomacy, strategy, moral judgment, and resilience under extreme pressure. Yet it was not just her own abilities that mattered. It was the strength, loyalty, and ingenuity of her team, and the unique qualities of humanity itself. Queen Maris, watching the recognition unfold from Solara via secure communication, allowed herself a rare smile. Her daughter had not only succeeded but had done so with integrity and vision. Humanity's reputation in the galaxy had been rewritten, not through force or intimidation, but through intelligence, creativity, and courage. As the stars shone over Zyphera, Alara knew the journey was far from over. Recognition by the Council was a beginning, not an end. Humans would face new challenges, rivalries, and threats in the future. Yet she felt certain that whatever trials lay ahead, humanity's combination of adaptability, intelligence, and courage would continue to shine. Alara looked at her team gathered around the observation deck. Their eyes reflected exhaustion, relief, and quiet pride. "The galaxy may have doubted us," she said softly, "but we have proven that humans can rise to any challenge. We lead not through fear but through insight, collaboration, and courage. And this is only the beginning." Her team smiled, their spirits renewed. Together they had faced deception, sabotage, natural disasters, and impossible odds, and emerged victorious. Humanity had not only survived but thrived. The Council, the alien factions, and the galaxy at large had witnessed the full measure of human capability. As Zyphera's moons cast silver light across the plains, Alara allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She thought of her people, of the generations who had persevered despite doubt and dismissal, and of the limitless potential of humanity. She understood that leadership was not about authority alone, but about vision, courage, and the ability to inspire others. The galaxy had said humans could not rule. Princess Alara had shown them otherwise. Her triumph was more than personal. It was a declaration that humanity could face any challenge, adapt, innovate, and lead with both intelligence and heart. The story of human resilience, creativity, and courage would ripple across the stars, leaving a lasting legacy for generations to come. As she looked toward the distant stars, a smile touched her lips. The trials were over, but the adventure of humanity's future was just beginning. The galaxy had finally witnessed what she had always known. Humans could rise, humans could lead, and humans would never be underestimated again. They said humans couldn't rule. The princess disagreed.